My fiancée cheated, ran back to her ex, and still expected me to be stepdad of the year. I shut that door for good. Hello Reddit I+ here. This has been eating at me for months, and I think I just need to get it all out. I 32M was engaged to a woman named Natalie, 29F. We met through mutual friends, and things moved fast. I'd been single for a few years after a rough breakup, and Natalie seemed like a breath of fresh air, funny, smart, easy to talk to, and refreshingly honest. Or so I thought. She was also a single mom to a 6-year-old boy named Mason. A lot of guys would have bailed, but I didn't see it as baggage. In fact, the way she talked about her son, the love, the protectiveness, I found it admirable. I didn't hesitate when things got serious between us. I stepped in and stepped up. From the start, I was all in. I helped with everything. Daycare pickups, pediatrician appointments, soccer games, bedtime stories, the whole 9 yards. I'm not his biological father, but I became the guy who showed up when he needed someone. About a year into our relationship, I proposed. It felt like the next natural step. We were already living together, and I was deeply invested in both her and Mason. She said yes, crying and hugging me with Mason in her arms, like we were finally this little family she had always dreamed of. For a while, life was good, really good. Or so I thought. Fast forward a few months post-engagement, and I started noticing small changes. She became more guarded with her phone, always on silent, flipped face down, and she suddenly had to step out to take certain calls. When I'd ask about it, she'd act like I was being paranoid. She also started working late more often. She works in marketing, and there were always deadlines or emergency meetings popping up. I wanted to trust her, so I didn't push. I figured maybe the wedding planning and parenting were stressing her out. I made excuses for her, because that's what you do when you love someone, right? Then came the night everything cracked open. She had fallen asleep on the couch after one of her late nights. Her phone buzzed next to her, and I glanced at it without thinking. The message preview read, "You looked so good tonight. Can't wait to see you again. Love you." My heart dropped. I opened the thread. It was from Mason's biological father, Chris. The same guy who ghosted her when she was pregnant. The one who hadn't paid a dime in child support or shown up for Mason in years. I scrolled. My hands were shaking. There were messages going back weeks, photos, plans to meet up. "I wish I could wake up next to you again. Mason deserves his real parents back together. I miss your body." I couldn't read anymore. I went into the bathroom and just sat there on the edge of the tub, feeling like an idiot. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I needed time to figure out what the hell I was going to do. For 3 days, I walked around like a zombie, still doing school drop-offs, still making dinner, still reading bedtime stories to Mason, while my heart was being ripped to shreds in secret. Then she sat me down and said she needed to talk. She told me she still had lingering feelings for Chris and thought it might be best, for Mason, if they tried again. She said it like it was this noble sacrifice, like she was taking the high road. She actually said, "I owe it to Mason to try to give him his real family." I asked her how long it had been going on. She went quiet. I didn't need her to answer. I packed my bags and left that night. Mason cried when I said goodbye. He didn't understand. Hell, I didn't even understand. I thought that would be the end of it. But 2 months later, she reached out. At first, it was friendly. Casual check-ins. Then she started sending photos of Mason, his first day of school, his new haircut, a drawing he made of our family that still included me. I'll be honest. I missed that kid like hell. He had nothing to do with the mess his parents made. Then came the ask. She said Mason missed me and asked about me constantly. He wanted to know if Daddy Jake was coming back. That part broke me. But then she added, "Would you be able to start taking him on Saturdays again? Chris isn't really around much, and you guys had such a bond." I sat there staring at the message, numb. Let me be clear. Chris, the man she cheated with, the man she supposedly left me for, had already dipped again. She got played. He got what he wanted, and then peaced out. And now that things weren't working out with him, she wanted me to slide right back in and pick up the slack. I asked her straight up, "What exactly do you think I am to you? A babysitter with emotional attachments? A backup dad?" She said, "No, but you're the only real father figure Mason's ever known." And I said, "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you blew our life up for a man who walked out on both of you once already." She tried guilt-tripping me. Said I was punishing Mason. Said I was bitter. That I was taking out her mistake on a child who loved me. And maybe I was. But I had to protect myself too. I told her I wouldn't be in and out of Mason's life like some Netflix show she could turn on and off when it was convenient. I told her I loved him. But love doesn't mean being manipulated. I wasn't going to play Stepdad of the Year so she could patch holes in a ship she already set on fire. I haven't heard from her since. It's been about 8 months. I still think about Mason. I still wonder if he's okay. But I also know I made the right choice. Loving someone else's child is a beautiful thing. But letting yourself be used is not. So yeah, I shut that door for good. Not out of hate, but out of self-respect. After I cut contact, I thought Natalie would eventually come to her senses and offer a real apology, not for the sake of reconciliation, but just basic accountability. But no. What I got instead was silence. She didn't reach out again. Not to explain, not to say sorry, not to ask how I was doing. Just silence. That actually told me everything I needed to know. I think deep down, she always assumed I'd stick around. That no matter how badly she hurt me, I'd always be the good guy, waiting in the wings, ready to pick up the pieces when her life fell apart again. She was wrong. I haven't seen Mason since I left. That's the part that still stings, if I'm being honest. There were moments I wanted to reach out, just to check in, just to hear his voice, but I knew that wasn't fair to him. He's a child, not a pressure valve for my grief. I couldn't give him the stability he deserves from a distance. If I popped back in, even just once, what message does that send? That love is conditional? That people come and go like seasons? No, that's not the lesson I wanted to leave him with. Instead, I've started therapy. I've worked on rebuilding my life. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted away from during the relationship, threw myself into work, picked up a few hobbies I'd long abandoned. I even started dating again, slowly, cautiously. It's weird, trying to trust someone new after all of that. But I'm trying. There's this moment I keep coming back to. It was the last night I ever saw Mason. We were sitting on the floor of his bedroom, surrounded by Legos and half-eaten goldfish crackers. He asked me, "Are you still going to be my forever dad?" I didn't know what to say. I froze. I gave him a hug and told him I'd always love him, no matter what. And I meant it. I still do. But love doesn't always get to stay. Sometimes, love has to let go. If there's anyone reading this who's in a similar spot, loving a partner who doesn't value you, loving a child who's not biologically yours, trying to figure out if staying is loyalty or self-sacrifice, let me just say this. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose peace over proximity. It's okay to love someone and still leave. Sometimes the most grown-up thing you can do is step out of a broken story and write a new one. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. Thanks for listening. This was more healing than I expected.